Hello, my name is Kai, and I am a bit of a rambler. I like to travel, learn, and tell stories. This story is all about my gear. So, this is my setup that I can use in any season, any temperature, any country, and every environment with anchor points, like trees, because I settled on hammock camping. This is going to go beyond just the hammock camping. There's a dedicated episode to hammock camping. This is about all my gear, though. How I could live in every country without paying any rent very comfortably. This is why I always recommend getting into DIY and just making something, even if you don't think it's the best solution that fits the problem you want to solve. Because the second time you make it, it's going to be better, and eventually you're going to have the perfect item for how you like to travel, or how you like to live. I did this around the house when I lived, sedentarily. But for me, travel, I wanted to move around a lot. I wanted to hike for very long periods of time, and this was the setup that I came up with. So I didn't have any clues on what to do. I started with a tent. And then the tent got dirty, and I didn't like that. I didn't want to clean it. I didn't want to have to do maintenance on something I was going to use every day. So I looked at the other options, and hammocks will not get dirty. It's much more difficult to dirty a hammock by sleeping in it than it is to dirty a tent by sleeping in it. The bottom of the dirt sticks to the bottom of your tent. You have to deal with that. With a hammock, you don't have to deal with that. So I got a hammock. Mine was from Decathlon. They're my favorite sports store. The hammock worked great. Then I was in Thailand, and I realized that the hammock was very comfortable and breathable, but bugs were murdering me, and I couldn't even sleep because I couldn't ignore them because there are just thousands of them, and I was sleeping in a Thai jungle. So I felt exposed, not to mention spiders or snakes or anything that could have been there. So I thought about that, and, well, bug nets, of course. But bug nets don't fit hammocks. Bug nets are, pavilion-type things with no floor on the bottom. So I bought a bug net. I cut it into a rectangle, rolled it into a tube, sewed it up, added a cinch lock to each end, and put it on one side of the hammock. And there it stayed forever. It worked perfectly. I had a permanently attached hammock. So as soon as I set up the hammock, I get in it, pull the bug net over my head, cinch it. Boom, no bugs. I was like, holy crap, I've done it. I made the perfect hammock. And then I went to Ireland, and it rained on me. And I was like, I forgot about rain. Luckily, the wind was blowing very strong, so I walked totally sodden down the road, letting the wind air dry me, just blow the moisture out of me. And while that was very uncomfortable and quite a long walk, I had a while to think. And I was like, how can I solve this? Rain tarp. And I personalized a bug net for my hammock, so I can definitely personalize a rain tarp. So I got a tarp, and I cut it to size so that the diagonal had a couple feet of overhang on either end. I put an eyelet, the little metal ring, on either corner, tied in a paracord, and now I could tie the rain tarp to either tree on either side or the rope itself, like the hammock rope, as an anchor point. And that stood up to monsoons for years. It was perfect. It was the perfect solution. I loved it. So now I had a very comfortable hammock. I fall straight asleep in them. No bugs, snakes, spiders, anything are going to get to me because of the bug net that's always attached to the hammock. The rain tarp that rolls up and is easy to pack stops all weather, including monsoons and snowstorms also. I was in snowstorms in Japan with my tarp, and it was fantastic. It's so cool. I got a clear plastic sheet, so I can see the rain or the snow falling all around me. It's the best. I really like that. But in Japan, I was like, boy, this works so good, but boy, is it cold. It was cold in Ireland too. I was there during winter, but I was only hiking across Ireland for about a week. So the cold, I was kind of just sucked it up and worked through it. In Japan, I had said, okay, now that I have the elements can't get to me and the bugs can't get to me, I think I have the perfect solution. I'm going to hike for 3 months. And after a week of literally sub-freezing temperatures in Japan, I didn't look it up. So, you could have planned ahead for this. I didn't. I just started walking west from Tokyo Airport. And yeah, I was freezing, literally. So I found the closest sports store on my offline map. And my Japanese is pretty terrible. Pretty terrible. And I made it there within 20 minutes of the store closing. And I was like, okay, I can get something so I'm not freezing. And I knew what I wanted because I got a generic exercise mat in Decathlon when I was in China, but I didn't bring it with me because it was too big. But that centimeter of insulative porous foam will reflect all my body heat back at me and keep the temperature almost completely away from me of the ambient air. And I was looking, and I found one that was pretty close, not perfect, but extremely lightweight like I was looking for. Foam generic exercise mat. And I got it, and it worked that night. I was so happy because it was already 9 at night. It was 8:40 when I got to that store. Nothing else was going to be open until the following day, and this was supposed to be the coldest day. So I set up my hammock and unrolled this generic 6-foot exercise mat inside the hammock, and it was just a couple inches larger than my shoulders, but this was still a very quick setup. So I put up the hammock, I put on the exercise mat, and then I put down the sleeping bag, get inside the sleeping bag, and my weight pushes down on the exercise mat, which is a little wider than my body. So the sides of the exercise mat fold up along the sides of the hammock. So now my hammock shape, just with 1 extra centimeter of foam, is reflecting all of my body heat back at me. Obviously, a little's going out the top, but I heat it up instantly, especially inside my sleeping bag. I had been sleeping in the sleeping bag and had to put all of my layers of clothes on and zip my jacket up, and I had to take off layers until I only had a single layer and unzip my jacket within my sleeping bag because this insulation of a generic foam mat that cost whatever, $8 in Japan and $1 in China, was so good at insulation. It just works perfectly within a hammock application for keeping your body heat in yourself. It's fantastic. So, air exercise pads. Done. Now I really did have a 4-season setup. 5th season with monsoon season. Like, even in a rain or snowstorm, you're fine in this setup. You're warm enough, you're off the ground if the snow piles up, or if water, if it floods, you're off the ground. You're a foot off the ground at least. You should probably be a couple feet off the ground. It's my favorite setup. I love it. It's very comfortable. Hammocks are the most comfortable, so I'd fall right asleep. Anyway, that is my sleeping setup. Hammock, bug net, rain tarp, sleeping bag, generic foam exercise pad. And that works in almost every country I've been to. It's fantastic. It worked in Italy. Fantastic. I hiked across Sicily, and I don't even know how long of the country of Italy itself. I was all around Rome and just everywhere. It worked amazing in Taiwan. I lived for 3 months in my hammock in Taiwan. Same with Japan, 3 months hiking every day, and that setup never failed me. It always worked perfectly. It didn't even come close to being stressed out. It didn't matter how cold it was. It didn't matter how bad the rain was or anything. It just worked. So I had my sleeping setup down. And after I had worked on it, I had to buy a few bug nets till I got the perfect bug net that I liked. I had to work on the foam pad so that it fit me just right. And all of this DIY work I did made me think that I should be tweaking everything else I do while I travel, because this setup has made my whole experience so much more enjoyable and so much more personal and comfortable that I can probably do that with other aspects of traveling. So I started exploring other aspects of traveling. What's my main thing besides sleeping all day? Eating all day. So I had to work on cookware, and I just thought, what do you know about cooking outside? Answer was nothing. And I literally just remembered cowboys sitting around a fire circle holding a frying pan over a fire. And I knew that I could make alcohol stoves out of a soda can. So since I knew I could do that, and I had a multi-tool with me, all I needed was the frying pan, because a little rubbing alcohol stove, you have a stovetop wherever you are. And it's the size of the last 1/4 of a soda can. It's an extremely compact, very strong stove, portable stove. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just type in Coca-Cola can alcohol stove on YouTube or wherever, and there's 100 people that make it all different. Mine, of course, is the best. No, mine totally sucked in the beginning. But I made 6 of them in one day, and the 6th one was pretty darn good. I could fill it with alcohol anywhere. The wind didn't really matter. It lit very quickly within 1 minute. I think I got it down to 30-something seconds, that final design, because it's all about how big the holes are, how they're spaced and all that. But I got it working, and now I had a stove. So go to the Taiwanese thrift shop that I was at, because now I needed a frying pan. And I walked in there, and there was a foldable pan, like a soup pan kind of thing. So with a foldable handle. So it condensed down to the size of a small saucepan. But that, as soon as I saw it, I knew I was getting it, because I could cook curry in it. I could cook rice. It had actually a steaming tray for rice, which I never used. I could cook instant noodles. I could make stews with vegetables and mushrooms and all that. So I got that thing for $3 in the Taiwanese thrift store. I went to the store, bought a thing of curry blocks, bought some mushrooms from an old lady, and I had mushroom curry that night. I walked until it got dark. I got out of sight, just like so I could discreetly cook without bothering other people. And I put down my alcohol stove on a tree stump or a rock or something. I think it was just a big rock, actually. Put the pan on top of that, put in water, curry block, mushrooms, instant noodles, and I had this great curry dinner in Taiwan. And as soon as I ate the curry, I knew that I could do this indefinitely, that I would be able to walk indefinitely, because the curry is so good. I can get fresh vegetables everywhere around Taiwan. There are trees everywhere. It's a beautiful place, so I can sleep anywhere. And there are new amazing things to see. Fields of arranged flowers, like football field size, that I never saw before. Crazy architecture, nature hikes, and all this stuff. And fantastic. So I had all of my basic gear. Now I could sleep and eat basically anywhere. Anywhere that I wanted to travel anyway. I had a hat so I wouldn't get sunburned. And I traveled to a lot of countries with this setup, and it was absolutely fantastic. And then I got to Vietnam, and I wanted to bike pack. So I wanted to bicycle with my big rucksack, and that was fine. I landed, I bought a used bicycle, and I rode out of the city. Problem was, my hat didn't cover my neck while I was leaned over, and I am pale unto ivory. But I'm nowhere near as strong as ivory. My skin crackles and blisters like poor, vulnerable bacon in the pan. And I got a sunburn. I felt it after like 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, gotta solve this before I actually embark on this journey. And so on the outskirts, there was a formal dress wear kind of place, and that is where I made my sun sleeves for the first time. At first, I just bought a button-down shirt. $5, great, fits me perfectly. But I noticed when I was riding it, my knuckles, my hands, the back of my hands, the beginning of my wrist was pulled out of the sleeves themselves. So I was worried that was going to get burned. The collar wasn't staying up on my neck, so I was worried that was going to get burned. And I was sweating profusely because I had my whole torso covered in a second layer of fabric in Vietnam in the summer. It was hot. And I just suffered through it for a few days, and then I thought to do something about it. So I cut off most of the torso, basically up to the chest, and even up to the neck in the middle, and then I swooped the fabric down to under the pectoral area, so like down to the 5th rib or something, and then that goes around the back. So now 3/4 of the material, the second layer under torso, is gone, and the wind from the bike was hitting me, and I was so much cooler instantly. And after that, I put in a couple pieces of paracord so that my thumbs and fingers would hook onto that and pull the sleeve over my exposed palm and wrist. And then by buttoning the collar like normal and then flipping it up, it stayed in place. So I had now every area covered. I was totally protected by the sun also if I was going to go cross-country biking or cross-country walking. I would have been burned also, but with the long sleeve shirt, I was staying cool and protecting my skin. So I can't recommend sun sleeves enough. No matter how dark your skin is or how used you are to walking in the sun, if you're out in the sun repeatedly exposing your largest organ to radiation constantly, you will damage your skin. And this is such a simple solution for bikers or anything. Just a button-down shirt, cut off the bottom of it, sun sleeves, covers your neck as well. Get a good hat. Part of my gear, my hat. I don't know. My hat looks like one of those old dorky fisherman's hats. It does the job. Sometimes I'll have like the cowboy hat that's like weaved rattan material, like woven fiber. Yeah, woven fiber cowboy hat looking thing. Whatever hat you like, you need a hat when you're walking across a country for months. Otherwise, you won't have a face when you get wherever you're going. The sun sleeves were my last, I think, big thing, and I use them everywhere. Now just when I use them every day. Whenever I walk anywhere in the daylight, I just throw on my sun sleeves because I don't want to get burned, and I get burned super easily. And before I forget, my last major addition to this setup, which makes everything complete and modern, is the solar panel. So I was going to walk for 3 months across Thailand at a later date. I've been to Thailand 12 times, 15, I don't know, a lot of times. But I was going to walk across Thailand for a few months and realized I wouldn't have any electricity for my phone because there's not a lot of outlets between cities in Thailand, and I would be walking for a long time, more than a day at a time. So I went to every electronics store in the town I was leaving from, Chiang Mai, and then the last store I went to had a foldable solar panel, very thin, 3 panels. As long as my rucksack was tall, they let me take it outside to the parking lot and test it for half an hour. And it worked, so I bought it for, I think it was $30. And then that thing worked for the next year that I was traveling. Charged my phone. When my phone was charged, it charged my 2 battery packs. And then I had those 2 battery packs overnight or even all the way through the next day in case it was cloudy or overcast and the panels weren't at top efficiency. But even when it was overcast, like cloudy before rain, those solar panels, when all 3 of them were unfurled, could still charge my phone. So that was a game changer for nomadic travel, backpacking. So that was my last big one. After I had those, my kit was complete. I had a hammock, a sleeping bag, bug net, rain tarp, air exercise pad if you're in cold weather, alcohol stove, a collapsible pot, solar infrastructure, and then sun sleeves. And with those items, I can indefinitely camp outside in pretty much any country. No, not Antarctica. Or Arctica. But the other 200 countries, most of them covered by this setup, and this setup is very lightweight. I carried it around in Japan when I did the walk meter pedometer thing, like 2,000 miles without a worry. Like with this whole setup that works in all seasons, all temperatures and everything, and completely covers me in every country, that's small enough that the rucksack fits into those baggage, little metal cases they have to test if your bag's too big for the airplane. Not at all. My 40-liter rucksack slides right in no problem with that setup. I also had my clothes, so like 5 t-shirts and a couple pairs of pants. And with all of that, slides right in there. So you can take your baggage on the plane and go anywhere you like with that setup. I did. I mean, that's what I could do, and I loved it. So if that sounds good to you, very easy to do, very comfortable, and works in literally nearly every environment. And if you get the hammock frame, every environment. But the ones that they make are way too heavy and look cumbersome to me. I'm going to make my own eventually. So after that, I worked on little things. I made stuff sacks for everything so I could organize everything inside the bag really easily. So each component of the hammock setup has its own little stuff sack. My jacket has its own stuff sack. My shirts have their own stuff sack. And that way it's just so easy to organize and pack and smash things down because the air that's inside all of your fabrics and everything takes up so much space inside the rucksack. If everything's in a stuff sack, you save a ton of space inside your baggage. Okay, so I just found out about packing cubes. So do people not say stuff sacks anymore and they just say packing cubes? If you know what a packing cube is and not a stuff sack, that's what I'm talking about. That's what a stuff sack is. A stuff sack was a packing cube before a packing cube was a thing. Oh, one last. I did need to see my phone while I was riding the bicycle because I didn't have any idea where anything was in Vietnam. Zero. So I just clicked the next town in 100 miles or whatever and would just follow the blue line toward that next town. And then I realized that jogging bands were perfect for that, the kind that you would put on your upper arm. So I got a jogging band, put my phone in it, and then boom, I had a bike-attached GPS. And that worked great too. So yeah, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars. Oh geez, that's right, I didn't mention any of the cost. Let's go over the cost real quick because this setup that works, as long as the material lasts, which for me was 15 years, was hammock, $12, bug net, $1, rain tarp, $8, air exercise mat, $1 to $8, depending where you get it, cookware, $3, long sleeve shirt, $5, portable solar panels, $30. Oh, and a sewing kit, $1. With the sewing kit, you can fix all of these things, if any of them break, or make your sun sleeves look a little snazzier. I got a lot of compliments on my sun sleeves after I just designed them a little to look like they were meant to be cut off like that, even in the States. Like, girls stopped me on the street and asked me what it was and how it worked and why I was wearing it, and I always got compliments on it. And maybe they were just being nice, but I'll take it. So everything, my decade-plus camping gear that never failed me was $68, $4 a year or something. Incredibly cheap. And as long as you buy the quality stuff the first time, and you take care of it, and if you can do any DIY stuff, you can make it easier to take care of that stuff. So $38, full outdoor camping setup that lasts for well over a decade. Very lightweight, very compact. Almost everything is collapsible. The hammock, the bug net, the rain tarp. And you can use it in practically any country you're going to go to. Unobtrusively camp, a hammock is much less noticeable than a tent or other standard camping equipment. For as long as you want to, basically. Talking about Ireland, which I loved visiting and do want to return to, let's look at tickets to Ireland to close this episode out. From New York, 187. From Michigan, 208. From Florida, 222. From Chicago, 228. From Atlanta, Georgia, 217. You can get over there for a couple $100. Have you finished your sojourn teaching English in China? China to Ireland is $283, $287, $323, $300. $100 more from anywhere in China rather than the States. And of course, if you're anywhere in Europe, you can get right over there because transportation works in Europe. Have a great time in Ireland. Public camping is legal there. The people are very cool. The Guinness is very good. It does taste different in Ireland, by the way, which surprised me a lot. But it tastes better there. More fresh. Gotta be fresh.